You ready for me to start? Are we live and everything?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to announce that Sean Driscoll is making a video and audio recording of today's meeting. Is there anyone else making a video or audio recording? Either raise your hand or press *9.
You can start on it. Don't see anybody.
All right. In response to Governor Baker's executive orders concerning the necessity to conduct public meetings in line with social distancing guidelines during the current state of emergency involving the COVID-19 pandemic, all the Port Council members were participating remotely in the day's meeting because their physical attendance would be unreasonably difficult. All the members are participating via Zoom video conferencing and are clearly audible to one another. As a result of the remote participation, all votes will be taken by roll call vote. All right, Bob?
Good morning, everyone. I think the first item on the agenda today is the minutes of the October 7th meeting.
Yep.
I move approval.
Second.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote.
Falco, aye. Us, aye.
Lowell, aye.
Kinnear, aye.
Dufelt, aye.
Washburn, aye. All right, Bob, COVID-19.
Okay, and actually, I'm remiss. I should point out that we're coming from the conference room here at the administration offices in Falmouth. In the room, socially distanced, wearing masks, other than myself, is Sean Driscoll, Terrence Keneally, Mark Rosum, Bill Cludier, Allison Fletcher, and Todd Falvey. Just so everyone knows.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, so regarding COVID, we continue to use the electrostatic sprayers that we have, the backpack foggers, on a daily basis to dispense hospital-grade disinfectant, along with a antimicrobial agent for longer protection. We've been using those at our facilities, on board our vessels, and on our buses. The vessel crews during the operating day, as well as nighttime cleaning crews, are assigned. Terminal and bus staff continue to do an exceptional job of cleaning their respective facilities. Since October 21st, we've been running the approved operating schedule on both routes. Our bus capacities remain 50% of their rated capacities. Capacities on the vessels remain reduced from between 40 and 60% of what the COIs allow. So that way we have some social distancing opportunities. We continue through agreement with our concessionaire to keep the lunch counters closed. We are performing driver services on the Nantucket route solely for frequent shippers. We are trying to determine when would be the best time to be able to start doing that initially for island residents. But there's still some concerns there that we're working out. Our vessel crews continue to have at the beginning of each of their watches to have a wellness screening by a trained medical professional. And our shoreside people fill out a wellness questionnaire. And we also have thermal scanners, non-contact scanners, in which they need to complete the form and get their temperature scanned. And then under no circumstances should they be coming in to work sick. If they do, or they have a high temperature that is verified, they're sent home. Face coverings or mask wearing compliance continues to be a challenge. With the recent executive order issued by Governor Baker, which went into effect on Friday, that stipulates that masks must be worn in public even when social distancing opportunities exist. So in that regard, we're posting additional signs, we're making additional announcements at the terminals, We've posted, we have the signs posted on the buses, and we're making announcements and making additional rounds on board the vessels to drive that point home. And we continue to, since the governor's order regarding out-of-state visitors to self-quarantine, we continue to send out notices 72 hours in advance of anyone arriving on a vehicle going to the islands. We continue to send out email notices in that regard. We continue to update our LMS. We continue to update our coronavirus landing page on our website at steamshipauthority.com/2019 coronavirus. And we ask that the public continue to check that, to check our Facebook and Twitter pages, social media, our e-news for any updates. In regards to the coronavirus landing page, since we started that page, we've had over 122,000 visitors to that page, to those pages. In the last 30 days, it's just under 3,900 visitors. In the last seven days, it's over 700 people going to that page to check out the latest requirements and news. So, that seems to be, what we're trying to do on the coronavirus front. I think Mark has a couple quick numbers here in terms of what the traffic, what the projections are for traffic. So.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
For the month of October, we saw passengers down combined to both routes about 12.3%, or about 29,000 passengers. Automobiles were up just under 24% combined on both routes, 20.5% on the Vineyard and 45% on the Nantucket run. Both these standard fare vehicles were really leading the drive on that. The regular fare vehicles for the Vineyard route were up 40%, and on the Nantucket route, they're up 72%. Trucks in both routes for the month of October were up 9%. And again, it was the standard fare vehicles leading the charge in these categories. But keep in mind, last year we lost 3 complete days due to weather. So it's kind of skewing the numbers a little bit. Looking ahead for Thanksgiving, comparing the Saturday before Thanksgiving to the Sunday after Thanksgiving, we're off about 3.7% in total reservations compared to last year. The weekend prior to the holiday, we're up significantly, about on average about 40% or so. Where we're seeing softness is the holiday itself, the Friday and Saturday, where some of that day tripping doesn't look like it's materializing yet. So that's what we're looking for Thanksgiving. And this morning I sent the package out regarding the weekly updates. So if anyone has any questions regarding the future bookings or anything I just reviewed, I'd be more than happy to answer those questions.
Any questions?
No.
Thank you.
Mark?
All right. So if there's no more questions regarding that, the business summary for the month of September is next. Passenger traffic for both routes was down 15.3% versus a year ago, or just under 49,000 passengers. Our automobiles for September were up 11.1%, or just over 5,500 automobiles. And the number of trucks, meanwhile, was down 3.7%, or a little over 600 trucks. Cars parked for the month was down 16.8% versus a year ago, which is about 3,500. So for the year to date through September, passengers are down 33.9% compared to a year ago, or 826,000 passengers. Our automobiles are down 13.5%, or just under 51,000 automobiles. Our trucks are down 15.5%, or just over 23,000 trucks. And our cars are down 42.9%, or just under 63,000 automobiles parked. The net operating income for the month of September was $3,776,000, and that's $546,000 lower than what we had anticipated in the budget. Operating revenues and other income was $13,034,000, was $939,000 lower than our budget. Operating expenses and other expenses were $9,259,000, was $393,000 lower than our budget. So we, for the month there, again, we ended up being, down about 545,000 versus what we anticipated in the budget. Year to date, our net operating loss is $2,057,000, or some $13,553,000 higher than what we had anticipated. At this point, we expected that we'd have about a $11 million surplus at this point. So we're 13.5 million behind. Operating revenues is $78,800,000. Operating expenses were $80,857,000. So with that, if anyone has any questions regarding the September activities.
Oh,
Not hearing any.
Okay.
We'll get into the updates on current projects then. So we'll have Bill come up here. We have a presentation update as to what the construction project is looking like.
Okay, before, Bob,
Yeah.
where do we expect to end up at the end of the year?
At this point, we expect, we're looking at, sorry, yeah, we're looking at somewhere around $10 million is what we're looking at this point. Those projections, based on what we've been seeing for traffic, and granted, Mark, provided you the October numbers in terms of the traffic, but that's comparisons against 2019 traffic, and the budget was based on 2018 traffic for October. October of 2019, we had a number of storms. We lost a number of days of service on both routes, and that's why some of those numbers that Mark pointed out earlier are encouraging, but it's because there was weather issues a year ago. So again, I expect that we'd probably be somewhere around the $10 million when it's all said and done. And as a reminder, we did get $10 million, approximately $10 million in CARES Act money. So, that obviously was welcome.
Okay, so we should end up fairly well then.
Well, we're going to end up with an operating loss, but once you factor in the grant revenue that we receive from the CARES Act, we're still looking at a possibility that there actually won't be a requirement for the state for any deficit, but it's still early. It depends upon what happens here in the next 7-8 weeks. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. While Sean is getting the slides up, I'll just update you. We're just about done with the demolition. We hope to finish that this week. The bulkhead is coming to an, and we also hope to get the bulkhead sheets installed this week. Hopefully next week we'll be driving 16-inch piles, and we'll be setting up to drive the monopiles. The 16-inch piles are going to be for the southern passenger ramp, passenger pier rather, excuse me. You go, ready? Go ahead. So I got a couple pictures here. This is aerial view of the demolition. You can see the bulkheads. We're making good progress. We kind of hit some obstructions at that southern corner there, and we're working our way through that this week. Next one, Sean. This is just a different view. All that concrete on the right-hand side there with the fenders is gone at this point, and we're just pulling out the remaining H-piles that are supporting that concrete. Next. This is a view of the old monopile that we had to demo. They actually cut they cut it just below the concrete line, and then cut it again at the mud line and pulled it out. Next. This is a view of them taking out some of the concrete. These were pretty heavy lifts with the ringer crane. Next. That's same view, a different, that's it in the air, the heavy weight. Another view. They actually swung it back on land, and they demo it with a whole ram on land. Next. This is some of the debris from the old fenders and all the old wood piles. It was kind of difficult getting some of this out. Next. I'm trouble seeing that. Yeah, they're just cutting up the old fenders on this view. Okay, next. This is the bulkhead whale that was installed in the back of the sheets to stiffen them. Next.
Galvanized.
Yep. These are the
Love it.
sheets. They're driving some of these sheets. This is a view with the vibro hammer on the sheets, driving them. Next. You can see the whale. That's a good view of the whale behind the bulkhead. Behind that will also connect tie rods. There will be tie rods connecting that to a dead man wall behind, about 40 feet behind us. Next. This is I put this in because to show you we were in dire need of replacing the marine side of this terminal. This is the old bulkhead. We were supposed to just cut through the back of it, and when they went in there and demoed that just a portion, the whole thing fell apart. So it's definitely time to do this marine project. I think that's it, right, Sean? Well, this is this is a view we tried using hydraulic, battery operated hydraulic pumps on our gangways. It's not working out the best, but it's kind of slow. But we did do a try, and that's a Pelican case to keep it waterproof. Next. This is a view. They're repairing some of the glass suppliers, repairing some of the plates that were cut wrong. That happened last week. Next. And this is just a aerial view of the site, the crane, monopiles in the background there. That's about it. Any questions?
Hey, Bill, this is Rob. What's the fill used for behind the bulkhead and the whales there that capture the dead men? What's the fill?
Well, some of it is going to be the dredge material. We have to take out about 1,000 yards of dredge of material from the slip, from the south side of the slip, and we're going to backfill behind that, and then it'll probably be crushed stone beyond that, Rob.
Okay. Just curious, you can't use any of that demoed concrete that you took off of the old one.
No, we're not using the concrete as fill.
The volume of the fill, Bill?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, Eric.
What's the volume of the fill?
The dredge fill is going to be about 1,000 yards. It's very little. It's less than we anticipated. We were permitted to take out, we thought we were going to take out about 1,500 yards. But since the Island Home has been going in there, it kind of cleaned out the slip for us.
Is that your deal?
Yeah.
No permit. Can I ask a question, Bill? Mr. Chairman, can I just ask Bill a question?
Yep.
Before you like vanish into retirement and before I'm in my 70s, someday, can you just please, just for me, find out if there's such a thing as galvanized sheet pile, please?
I'll check on that.
I'm serious. I'm not.
No, I didn't.
I'd like, pretend I'm a board member. I'd like an answer on that. I'm serious, because that's like the simplest, easiest way to make these bulkheads never have to be replaced, or at least not for a lot longer than the time they last now. So I'm just curious, when I see that galvanized whale, I get excited about that, because we had ours collapse over here. You remember?
Yeah.
So
I'm sure we can get, I'm sure you can purchase galvanized
put that
materials.
in the, we could just raise the rates another 50 cents and get galvanized, something.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bill,
Okay.
very much. It's awesome, beautiful. Thank you.
Okay. If that's it, thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, so the other piece of this project is the terminal building itself. And since last month's meeting, we've met with BIA Studios along with the engineers, the electrical engineers, the HVAC, all the individual trade engineers, to review the parameters of the scope of the landside portion of the project. And that includes reviewing the building construction requirements. As a result of COVID-19, the virus outbreak, certain elements of the building are being revisited. As an example, the HVAC system that is being looked at again to determine what would be the optimum airflow requirements for that building. Whether the building can be fitted with a higher degree HVAC that could be more readily cleaned and disinfected, those type of things. We're also looking at the restroom layouts and what materials are being used, materials would have to be used in the restrooms. So we still have some additional discussions. We need to meet again with the architects, but we anticipate that a more detailed update will be prepared and presented to the Port Council and the board at the December meetings. It's kind of an outside shot here that we actually have something to be able to present to the board next week, but at this point, I would anticipate it's going to be at the December meeting. So that's where we stand on the Woodsall project. Any other questions or?
I think so.
Okay, so next we have updates on some of the operating projects. So we start with the MV Eagle Dry Dock. So I think Mark is zooming in here so he can.
George there.
Yeah.
Mr. Balco, are you with us?
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Morning, Mark.
Mark,
Are you picking up my video, Bob, or?
Just your name.
Okay.
Ron,
Issues.
George is with us.
Just one other, Mr. Chairman, for the record, I had a note from Rich Salzberg. He's also recording the meeting, just for the record.
Okay.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Believe, Sean, if we could start the first project with the MV Eagle at Thames Shipyard.
1 second.
The Eagle is currently in dry dock at Thames Shipyard in New London, Connecticut. We are continuing our underwater structural survey for U.S. Coast Guard and SSA requirements. Presently, the vessel is in dock, and we have both the shafts and propellers. Perhaps we could move to the first photo, Sean. Okay, this is a picture. We've completely sandblasted from the baseline of the keel to the rub rail, and that shows the first coating of anti-corrosive paint. Next photo, please. And it's just kind of another profile view of the vessel with the initial coating on. After the sandblasting is done, you need to put a protective coating on right away to protect the sandblast. Next photo. The dry dock highlights include we're putting a new fire detection system on the vessel, and this way the vessel be protected. All the alarms are connected so that we have full protection. The next we're putting in is a new diesel oil purifier system, and this is to properly prepare the fuel for utilization in all the diesel generator and main engines. We're overhauling 3 auxiliary generators and 3 alternators, and the generators are 70% done, and the alternators are at the shop being cleaned, dipped, and baked. Another project we're working on is the overhaul of the bow and stern freight doors. They've been removed, and they're in the apron of the dry dock being blasted and coated and preparing just a complete overhaul for reinstallation. Next slide, please. So this is an overview of, we have a contract of I can't really see, 1 second here.
0.9 million.
At 1.917 million. We've gone through and we've got some credits coming back. Hull steel renewal, and we did not have to remove the rudders as they were they were proper. So we have a total 1917 and a contract price and credits of 143,018, and we have some change orders associated with the we're putting in. It was more cost effective, but put a new anchor windlass in, and rather than to overhaul, which we originally were planning to do. So we have approximately 78,000 in for a new anchor windlass. So our grand total right now is 1.852 million. We're below our projected contract price. Any questions associated with the Eagle?
Nope.
No, looks good.
Okay. Next, we'll move on to the Oak Bluffs project. Now, as you remember, we did the initial in May, and right now we're in phase 2 of the project. And this is an overview, plan view of the Oak Bluffs terminal. And we commenced the project on or about October 20th, and with phase 2. So this is kind of a project view of what we have done and where we're planning to go forward. We're right now we've done about 350 linear feet of pile caps we're replacing. We're about 170 linear feet at the moment. We have the barge on site, right? Actually, it's going to be on site today, and we're going to commence Thursday of drive and pilings. So the project is on pace. We have some photos to show you. Right now, this is a picture of removing decking to access the pile caps. The pile caps are done from the top side. Next photo. Okay, this is actually a worker installing the new pile caps. They have to get underneath and bring the pile caps in, and we secure them. I'll show you in the next photo. And this kind of shows the attachments from the pile caps to the piles. And it's kind of interesting, and it gives us brings us right back to original structural integrity. So contract award 11-220 was Coastal Marine for $752,524. And as I said earlier, we commenced the replacement of piles, approximately 30, and approximately 150 linear feet of pile caps have been done. And right now we're on schedule to complete the work by 20 December. Any questions? Well, everyone's very quiet today. All right, then, thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Great. I'm glad we're getting
Good.
O+ done.
What's that, Bob?
All right, so next is an update on the SQMS. I think Angela Sampson's on, but I think while Mark is bringing her up, Sean, sorry. We continue to work with SMS LLC on the SQMS project. Angela's coming in. We have a terminals and facilities operation manual that's being worked on, as well as a vessel operation manual being worked on and edited. So, Angela?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Yes, just to kind of reiterate what Bob was saying, our operation manuals are in current draft form. The Marine and Shoreside departments have reviewed their comments, reviewed the manuals and provided their comments to the SQMS consultants for necessary revisions. And then the next step is for the SQMS consultants. They're determining a suitable plan to do the rollout, implement, and training all of our employees on the terminal and vessel operations manual. So it's going to be obviously slightly adjusted because we are in a pandemic. So we want to make sure that we can capture all the employees, but do so that's socially distanced. So we're looking at doing a hybrid form of various through Zoom meetings to conduct the training as well as on-site meetings.
So I don't know if anyone has any questions in that regard.
All right, thank you, Angela.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
All right, so next we have is proposed license agreement renewals for Sea Streak LLC, as well as Freedom Cruise Line. Terrence will be coming up here in a second. I think in the attendees, we have Jack Sheehan from Freedom Cruise on the line, and I'm not sure if anyone from Sea Streak is on the line, but just keep that in mind in case there's any questions.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning.
So we're here to talk about the license renewals for our ferry operators. Specifically, we're talking about Sea Streak and Freedom Cruise Line. For folks that don't know, Freedom runs a ferry service from Saquatucket Harbor in Harwich to Nantucket, essentially from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And Jack Sheeran took over that company, I believe, last year. We were working with Jack on renewal, and he came back and asked us essentially to renew the exact same terms and conditions that they had previously. And the feedback we're getting from, just on another note, the feedback we're getting from all of our licensed ferry operators is that, you know, because they're just moving passengers, they too are feeling it in terms of financial difficulties with the pandemic. And so we discussed internally amongst the staff, myself and Bob and Mark, that the recommendation is that we renew our carriers for just 1 year, and then we take hopefully by this time next year, we'll be beyond the pandemic and get back to some type of normalcy. I think everybody shares that sentiment. And so what we're recommending at this point is that all the licensed carriers that we have extend for 1 year. We've conveyed that to the operators, and we're looking for their feedback. And for the most part, we've gotten agreement on that. The other operator that we're here to talk about is C Streak. I believe someone from C Streak was going to be on the call. I can't see that with my my poor vision here, but in any event, C Streak has come back to us with a license renewal application, and what they're looking to do is expand a little bit on what they've already been doing. The members will recall that this past couple of meetings we discussed the fact that C Streak is going to conduct a inter-island service. So they run from New Bedford to either OB and to Oak Bluffs and Vineyard Haven, and then on to Nantucket. And they've been doing that with the blessing of with Highline, who's the licensed operator for the inter-island service. And again, Highline runs that in the summertime. What C Streak has come back to us with for this coming year in 2021, and what they're doing right now is continuing to do that service. And so they're focusing on adding that type of service in the shoulder seasons. Not at the time that Highline's doing it, but all the other times that they're not doing it. And what we understand is there are a few passengers that are taking advantage of that. The numbers haven't really come back as to how heavily used that route is, but C Streak's willing to take that on, and they've asked us to license them to do that this coming year. So it's essentially a new service for next year in the shoulder season. And that's why we went out and we, according to our licensing policy, myself, Sean, and Bob conducted 2 Zoom video conferencing meetings. We conducted the first one on the 3rd of November. That's why we moved today's Port Council to today. And then this morning we did it again. We had one attendee at both of the meetings. Wasn't any real substantive discussion about the licensing agreements during those meetings. In fact, there was really no comments about it. So we didn't really get any feedback from anyone during those 2 hearings. With that, I've written up a staff summary for folks to review. Hopefully you have it in your packet. Our recommendation is that the Port Council move to recommend that the board review these renewals of license agreements favorably. Again, it'll just be for the 1 year. For Freedom, essentially the same deal that they've had in the past. And for C Streak, it's for 1 year with the addition of this additional service, inter-island service in the shoulder season. And I'm free to take any questions if anybody has.
Move to recommend approval of both licenses as presented.
Second.
All right.
I have one question. Just curious about what's the normal length of time for these license arrangements? You mentioned one as sort of representing the desire to keep these short term. What would be the normal term?
We've had license agreements extend out as far as 3 years. And when we do that, historically, what we'd like to see is carriers present schedules for those 3-year periods rather than doing a term and then renewing every year. I think it's more fair and better for the customers to understand, okay, this is the full breadth and scope. And then you can actually evaluate the entire package in one sitting rather than taking it incrementally. But with the uncertainty this year and everything else, we want to be able to kind of look at the entire licensing policy again next year and see what the effect that the pandemic has had on these carriers and the economics of it.
Got it. Understand. Thank you.
One question, Terry, if I could.
Sure, Eric, yeah.
I know you had mentioned that C Streak's a new proposal wouldn't be in the same times as Highline. Is this gonna affect Highline at all in doing what they're doing inter-island?
My understanding is no. And I understand that C Streak has been communicating with Highline and the principals there. And again, they'll be doing it for the season, for the times that Highline won't be conducting the inter-island service.
Right.
And
Okay.
Highlands focus solely in the summer months.
All right.
Correct.
Sounds good.
And that's your understanding too, Nat?
Yes, they would have already said something to us
Okay.
about this.
Thank you.
All right,
I think there's a motion on the, I think there's a motion pending.
any other discussion? All right, I'll take a roll call vote.
Balco, aye.
Plus, aye.
Well, I,
Munir, aye.
Who felt aye?
Washburn, aye. Thanks, Terry.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. So next we have on the agenda is the proposed 2021 reservation opening dates in your packet. We provide this for informational purposes. It lays out what we're planning on doing. So in terms of it, it lays out that, you know, the dates that we had for general openings of the Head Start and the mail. We do propose to, again, split the general opening internet 1 week for the Nantucket service and 1 week for the Vineyard service. At next month's meeting, we intend on coming back, laying out what measures we're taking, so that way we don't have a repeat of what occurred last January regarding when we had some issues with the opening. So the general opening for Nantucket would be January 12th of 2021, and that's a Tuesday, and it goes through the 18th, followed by the Vineyards general opening on the 19th through the 25th, and then the telephones would open up on the 26th. The transfer deadline for Head Starts would be May 15th or 30 days prior, whichever comes first. In terms of the reservation-only dates, we've laid those out as well. The reservation-only dates on the Vineyard route, which require vehicles to have reservations, would be May 27th through June 1st, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday from June 18th through September 6th. We'd also be adding reservation only from June 29th to July 8th, around the holiday. August 24th, which traditionally is a busy day for everyone to be heading off the island. September 7th, which is the Tuesday following Labor Day. And then October 8th and 11th, which is the Friday and Monday of Columbus Day weekend. So it also indicates when on those dates we'll be having the reservation office open extended hours in order to make sure that we're able to address reservation needs. So it also provides an indication as to you know, what qualifications people need to do to get qualified as islanders or in the preferred program. This year we are looking at having it as a fillable PDF form that customers would be able to submit via email to update their profile information. So, and with that, if anyone has any questions, myself or Angela Campbell, our reservation manager, is on board and is online here as well. So,
Any questions?
Aye.
Nope.
no votes required. It's just for informational purposes. Okay, so I think next we're up to is the proposed 2021 operating budget.
Good morning again.
Morning.
Hey, Mark.
We're going to go through a PowerPoint presentation regarding the proposed operating budget, and then segue into the proposed rate adjustments. We had 2 public hearings last week regarding the budget on, I believe it was Wednesday night and Thursday morning, or 2, yes. And we had about 10 participants on average at each session. So when we go over the rate adjustments in the budget, we'll bring up some of the comments that were received during that time period. Since we spoke last month, or even during the presentations last week or at the board meeting, nothing materially has changed regarding the budget or the proposed rate adjustments. Okay, so we're still assuming due to impacts of COVID-19, we're using the traffic pre-COVID levels, which would be March of 2019 through February of 2020. Historically, we'd use the traffic levels of the most recent 12 months, but we're using these due to the impacts of COVID. With that, we're assuming 90% passenger traffic and 100% vehicle traffic. Okay, looking at this, we're going to have operating revenue of about 112 million, operating expenses of roughly 112 million, other income of 2.7 million, other expenses of 3.8 million, which will bring us to a bottom line of a net loss of 1,378,000. Changes for this year's budget, as we discussed last month, we're seeing an increase in depreciation of expense of about 1.1 million. Primary driver for that is the bringing the Woods Hole terminal construction online. General expenses are going up about 660,000. Main driver on that is the health and welfare. Operations of vessels, we're seeing a decrease of projecting about 650,000. Primary driver of that is the projected cost of fuel for next year. That's about a $1.3 million savings. We're looking at 5 boats going into dry dock, which is about $4.8 million. We're doing dolphin and dock repairs next year. That's about 2.4 million. The 2 main items on that is work on the North Transfer Bridge on Nantucket and repairs to the Oak Bluffs Pier. So looking at using the most recent 12 months and the impacts of COVID, we're going to see a decrease in passenger revenue, a projected decrease of about $4.5 million. Or 13.7%. Expecting parking revenue to decrease just under 900,000 or 11.8%. Freight revenue to decrease by 1% or 337,000. And automobile revenue to be basically flat and a decrease of 101,000. This shows where we make our money and where we lose money. The bars in red, so basically January through April and October through the end of the year, we have a net operating loss for each month. And for the 5 months of May to September, we have a net operating income. We put, January through April, we accumulate a net operating loss of $15.2 million. Then we project through September to turn that around and have an income of 8.5 million. And then going through the remainder of the year, we'd end up with a net loss of about 1.4 million. What this slide shows, and it wasn't at the last package, but we used it at the presentations for the budget open house, is how much revenue each trip makes per month. This is a blended average for both routes, and this is just the conventional ferry, not the high-speed ferry. So in January, we make just under $2,500 a trip. In each bar, the blue bar is the automobile revenue, the brown bar is the trucks, gray is passengers, and the yellow bar on top is the other, such as concessions. Then in August, we make about $6,100 a trip. And then in December, we make approximately just under $2,800 a trip. Operating costs per trip are basically the same. So you can see in that this is also directly correlates to the previous graph of the basically in the off season, the trips don't make money.
Where is Art Flathers to see this?
So
He's in heaven.
Boy, he is some happy. He's smiling right now.
He's saying, I told you so.
So that graph segues into this. We did, look at expense cuts on the budget. That's something that's asked. Looking at marine operations and looking at the previous two graphs, the trips that you would cut from a financial standpoint would be in the off season. On the Nantucket run, you're only running 2 boats, and it would be very difficult to meet the levels of service with just the Eagle and having the freight boat run one day, just on the weekdays, or one trip during the weekdays. On the Vineyard run, we looked at, can you reduce for instance, the Martha's Vineyard by, only running it 4 trips a day, which would save about $160,000 a month, or $500,000 for the year. But the impacts for the island residents and not being able to get home at night because that boat's tying up at 2:30, we felt it wasn't worth it. The other issue we looked at is running a freight boat in place of the big boats. And we would have some savings there, but if we still have the impacts of COVID, how do we space out the foot traffic that we're projecting? Right now, we're at 75%. How do you space those out on the Katama, for example? Also, we're looking, and we're seeing since July, our vehicle traffic is at 100%. We heard the September numbers, we heard the October numbers, and with this reduction in service, we'd also have to assume a little reduction in revenue, because last year on average, we occupied capacity of about 80%. We looked at, you remove a whole boat from the operating schedule. That would save about $500,000 a month, one of the big boats. But then you're reducing your service by over 1/3. And not only that, but you're looking at the timing of some of these deliveries of the goods, especially on the Nantucket run or on the Vineyard run. How do you get those goods that need to be delivered that are time sensitive? So also we looked at option was the Governor next year is going into dry dock. That's about $1.7 million. If we didn't do it, the boat would not be available for next year. So all of a sudden that impacts the operating schedules. There's no spare boat available. It's not like where we took off the Woods Hole a couple of weeks ago and the Island Home with those changes, we don't have that flexibility anymore. Without having the Governor, the Nantucket run would lose the Woods Hole in the summer. So it'd operate basically the Eagle and 2 freight boats, and the Woods Hole would replace the Governor on the Vineyard route. We looked at, the Sankaty's 5th boat during the summer season, but as we've seen the rebound in vehicle traffic since July, we're going to need that capacity. Expense cuts. This year, we've saved over $7 million, as Bob pointed out during the business summary, during operating cuts. When we were back in April, we had passenger traffic was off 82%, autos were off 77%, trucks were off 50%. May had improved a little bit, but we really, adjusted our schedule accordingly. And if we see those type of traffic demands coming up for next year, we will implement like we did this year. But right now, we're not projecting that. We haven't seen that for the last 6 months, and that's where we need the level of service. As everyone's aware, that our level of service is derived from the vehicle traffic demand, not the passenger traffic demand. And basically, the passenger traffic is subsidizing, or augmenting, I should say, the vehicle traffic, the vehicle fares on the vessels. Okay, there's been questions regarding how's the money goes. And we talked about this, and the credit to the slide goes to Bob Davis. So for the animation. So back in April, we talked about this when we first, when impacts of COVID were really felt originally, when we were projecting a $60 million loss. So the operations fund, pays the day-to-day bills. We're allowed regulatorily or statutorily to keep 2 months plus 1/36 of the operating expenses in that fund. Any excess money, any cash on hand at the end of the month, like we had this month, would go to the sinking fund. The sinking fund purpose is to pay the bond principal and interest. Next year, our obligation is about $10.6 million, 3.4 million for interest, and 7.2 million for principal. After that fund is fully funded, it would go to the replacement fund, and the replacement fund is used for capital projects such as the purchasing of buses, like we had with the low floor buses we just bought, computer hardware such as servers. Once that fund is fully funded, and that can only be funded to the current year's depreciation level. Basically think of, the assets get depreciated, and we use the replacement fund to basically refund it to purchase more capital items. then it would go to the reserve fund. And the reserve fund is if we have an operating loss. Okay, and that is limited to 5% of the outstanding bonds or 600,000, the greater of. And then after that, it would go to the bond redemption fund, where if we have callable bonds, we could redeem them, or the funds could be used to for capital purchases. So regarding the proposed budget, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Mark, are we fully hedged for next year?
We're fully hedged for next year, and for the first quarter of 2022, the majority's hedged. Did that last week before we saw the price increase.
Thank you.
Hey, Mark, this is Rob. You had an assumption about 90% traffic, passenger traffic compared to the previous period. What's that based on?
Looking at, so we've seen 85%, and that's, you know, once we get into the rate adjustments, that if we had the same, and I don't want to jump the gun a little bit, it'll kind of answer the question. If we carried the same level of traffic we carried last month and this month and basically in August, we would have a net income of $750,000 with everything else being equal. Okay, so then we looked at 90% if we can get to that level. So the question is, if we stay where we are now, we would still have a positive income next year. So we're looking at 90%. Last month we saw 85%. With advances we've seen in, you know, with the upward trend in advances we've seen for not only the therapeutics, but the vaccines, or speculation of the vaccines, that's what we were hoping to see those numbers go to.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions from the Port Council?
You don't need a vote on this, do you?
Yes.
Okay. So
Please.
move.
Second.
Second.
All right, any further discussion?
Nope.
All right, I'll take a roll call vote.
Falco, aye.
Huss, aye.
Lowell, aye.
Lanier, aye.
Shufelt, aye.
Washburn, aye. Thanks, Mark.
Okay. All right, now we got to go over the, to get us to offset that projected $1.4 million in operating loss. We're proposing some rate adjustments, unfortunately.
Ed, I'm going to have to drop.
All right, thanks, Rob.
Cheers, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Rob.
Okay, Curtis. So of the $8.7 million in proposed rate adjustments, 5.9 of it is due to the impacts of COVID and the impacts on the traffic as far as walk-on passengers and parking. We're looking at targeting a net income of of 7.3 million, which is consistent with the previous 2 years. So when you factor in where before rate adjustments of a loss of 1.4 million, that's why we have the 8.7 million proposed rate adjustments, of which 5.4 million would be derived from the Vineyard route and 3.3 would be for the Nantucket route. The reason for the delta, the difference between the two routes is that for the proposed operating budget before rate adjustments, the Nantucket run was scheduled to have about $170,000 net income, while the Vineyard route would have about a 1.5 million loss. That accounts for about $1.7 million. In addition, there's as mentioned previously, the Art Flathers. There's a look back, 8-year look back period of how each route operates. And with that, there's a clawback provision for where the Vineyard route would be responsible for the first 500,000 of any operating loss.
Hey, Nat, we're going to give you a lot of money. Make sure you take care of it and don't spend it foolishly.
That's why I want galvanized sheet pile.
Yeah. So, you know, summarizing what we're looking for on fare adjustments, basically all vehicles are going up roughly 7% with the exception of the peak pricing, which is May through September, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So a standard vehicle would see between a $4 and $6 increase, depending on the time of the year. That would account for $2.5 million in revenue, along with the $15 peak pricing. Excursion fares each way would go up between $2.50 and $3.50. So it'd be $2.50 in the off season, $3.50 in the peak season. Vehicles over 20 feet in length, i.e. trucks, are going up 7%. Example of this would be, for instance, a semi. Everyone's pretty familiar with that, one of the big delivery trucks. They would be going from $292 to $312.50 or $20.50 to put in perspective. Passenger fares, we're looking at $1 adjustment for the single ticket, $8 for the 10 ride, and $17 on the 46 ride. And annual parking permits would be, for both lots, would adjust by $50. Similar to the Vineyard route, we're looking at 7% adjustment on the vehicles. This would equate for the standard fares to go up between $11 and $16. Their peak pricing is $25, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The excursion rates would be adjusted between $6 and $8 each way, $6 in the off season, $8 in the summer. The freight would go up 7%. In their 64-foot truck would see an increase of $35.50, where it would go from $506 to $541.50. Barge fees would be adjusted by $2 a ton. Passenger fares, similar to the Vineyard route, on the conventional fare would be going up $1, $3 on the high speed. Parking permits would be adjusted by $50. We had some questions regarding the excursion rates. For most people on the call are aware that an excursion rate is a round trip fare that originates from the island, returns in 31 days. The round trip ticket includes 2 adults and 2 children. Okay, and the cost of the excursion fare is roughly 75% of the standard fare. We did some queries of the 2019 data. On average, the Vineyard resident uses 12 round trips, and 68% of the people fall in that category. And on the Nantucket route, the average amount of excursion rate travel per person is 4, where 73% of the people aggregate use the excursion rate 4 round trips or less. What this chart shows is the comparison of the actual deck space on the vessels that's being used compared to the revenue that's being derived from these type of vehicles. The blue pattern is the Martha's Vineyard revenue. The blue solids, the spaces occupied on the vessels. The red pattern is the Nantucket revenue, while the red solid is the Nantucket space. So if we just compare automobiles to automobiles, the Vineyard route, you can see that just under 17% of the revenue comes from excursion fares, where almost 30% of the vehicle space is being used. And then look at the standard fares, where 57% of the revenue is being derived, while 47% of the deck space on the boat's being used. The same trend is on the Nantucket run. The excursion fare uses 15.5% of the space and derives 8.6% of the revenue. And conversely, the automobile standard fares use almost 42% of the space and bring in, use 42% of the revenue and use about 30% of the space. So with the proposed adjustments, this is how the adjustments are being spread out by category. Passengers would account for 28%. Standard fare vehicles, not including the premium pricing on the weekends, would be 20%. The freight would be 20% as well. The pricing on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, would be about 19%. The excursion fares would account for 8%. And the miscellaneous, i.e. parking permits and barge revenue, would be 5%. So as mentioned, we had some open houses. We had on average about 10 people attending the sessions. Some of the feedback that we had from some of the people asked about extending the operating date off for more trips at night. On the Vineyard route, where that would really be directional traffic. So if you look at the 9:30 trip off Island, it's really empty. It's more of that trip's more used for the 8:30 boat out of Woods Hole to bring the people to the island, excuse me, the 8:15. One suggestion was looking at extending the on-season peak pricing from Friday to Monday, Friday through Sunday to include Thursdays into it. Kind of reflects the pattern of the 3-night minimum some places have. That would generate about $300,000 in revenue on the Vineyard route and about $70,000 on the Nantucket route. And then there's looking at, extending this peak pricing such as Columbus Day weekend, which would be approximately $100,000, and Thanksgiving week. Excuse me, Thanksgiving week would be approximately $100,000. One of the issues we have to be concerned with is, this is the slide that reflects the one with the proposed budget, but this shows the rate increases, is that, we make money 5 months of the year. And if we're putting more, the more we put on the summer months, the more of a deficit we have accumulated before that comes in there. So that's one of the concerns I have. If we keep putting more and more in the middle, the shoulder seasons, we have some vulnerability there.
Isn't it all going into the same pot? I don't get that, Mark.
So you have that, but you're susceptible to, timing issues, Nat. Also, you have to worry about cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's doable.
I've never heard you say that before, so I had to ask. High school education. I had to ask that question. Can I, Mr. Chairman? Can I just ask them a few things? I'm going to be, I'm not going to have any headlines in the paper today. So if anyone's listening, you're not going to get one from me today. So,
darn.
So, Mark, what are we doing with the same day round trip? I didn't see that on the list. We just
So
thought we were pumping that up to 59 at least.
We can run those calculations.
I mean, that's a no-brainer. We're leaving a lot of money on the table with that.
Okay, so we're recommending going from 50 to 55 on that right now.
I think you should go to 59. That's like, it's free, compared to what, that's a good, I also think you need to look at the same day slow fast from Hyannis to plug that in at some point. I don't care if we have COVID or not. That's something we should have done anyway at some point. And the other question, that's not even one of my crumbs. That's more of like something we should do. And then the other thing, Mark, driver services, I don't want to like get everyone too comfortable, like pretending we're the Vineyard now at a 2.5 hour ride, 2 hour and 15-minute ride with no driver services. That 1.7 million, is that in your budget next year as sort of an asterisk, Roger Maris thing? Okay.
Yes, that's in there. And right now we're doing the trucks. And so I don't have the exact breakdown of what it is for the freight to the cars. So I can get,
I'm guessing we probably recovered maybe 200 grand, I'm guessing that, but we'll know that in a couple months, right?
Yep.
But
I'll be
we're
able
going to have to, I'm glad you got it in the budget. That's going to end up being like, if we get driver services back by the summer, spring, by May, let's just say May 1st, I'm just throwing that out there. That's going to make a big difference in revenue next year for the Nantucket route. It's almost going to be like, I don't know, rainy day, as Bob was saying, but whatever. It's going to make a big difference that we're just sort of pretending that we don't have it. You know what I mean?
And I'd be remiss, Nat, and I forgot to mention this during the presentation. There's a couple things that are non-revenue bearing that we want to adjust with the tariff. Currently for the parking permits, we have a reverse round trip for island residents who have a vehicle at the parking lots, and during the off season, they're allowed to bring the car. We've had some feedback that they would like to get the car out of there in the summer, which A, helps us with more parking spaces in these lots. B, it helps the customer to get it to where they might be using it on the for themselves on the island, is to extend that to a year round, where we're not looking at any revenue being derived from this, either plus or minus. It's a customer feature to put it in the tariff.
Yeah, unlimited time. We need to do that. That would be great for the Nantucketers, Mark. So that, and what was the other small thing we had?
Would be,
Oh, the excursion, the prorated excursion thing, half a
No,
ticket.
with the hazardous drivers on the Nantucket round, that you always have to have a driver with it, and they're not offered the 46 ride card like on the Vineyard route. So
Yeah.
they all use the 10 ride. So instead of giving the person collecting the ticket, the passenger fare, the ticket for the vehicle, then the 10 ride card, just put the 10 ride passenger ticket right
In
on
the ticket.
right on the ticket, because you have to have a driver with it no matter what.
Yep.
It makes it easier
Thank
for the
you.
driver, makes it easier for the process, makes it easier for us in billing. So it's a win-win-win
Yeah.
across the board.
Yep. And what about that excursion idea? No, we're not doing that yet. The before and after one?
Oh, splitting up the excursion fares?
Yeah, the Vineyard would probably like that too. Doesn't really affect anything, but
So what Nat's talking about, so instead of
these are,
having,
just so everyone knows, these are like,
it's really,
my
it's,
stupid ideas that I've talked to them since they were like, when they started working here.
it would be really wouldn't be a revenue bearing issue, is that split up the excursion fare similar to a standard fare vehicle. So right now, the excursion fare vehicle is based on when you leave. So if you left at the off season and then returned during the summer, the whole excursion ticket gets fared at the off season price. Conversely, say if you left the last week in August and came at the end of September, the whole ticket's priced at the higher price. It's when you depart. What Nat's asking for is to have each segment be fared based on when it actually travels.
Right.
In the end, it's probably we don't know if it's gonna materially change people's travel patterns. It's just basically probably be revenue neutral.
Yeah, that's not worth the effort. That's too complicated, adding another complication to our 9,000 fares at this point in time we don't need that.
Well, George, let me give you something from the Rich Island on that. So the 15th of the month, okay, is this like magic date that the steamship has had for 1,000 years, okay? So where this came from is like people wait for the September 15th to go away, to book a car. Well, the 15th can be on a Saturday or a Sunday. So if we had the ability to have the return trip coming back after the 15th to be half the ticket, the difference, then people would probably smooth out their plans to leave the island with their car before the 15th arrived. That was my thinking. I know your tickets are a lot cheaper, George, but over here, these little tiny things, we try to kind of give the public something. So that's all.
Yeah, I know, but you guys don't even have, you don't have a currency that small, so you can't even pay for it.
Oh, George, that's truth to that.
Mark and Bob, just going back to the feedback that you guys heard, so taking the feedback, what was the staff kind of reaction to that, and how are we taking some of the feedback into account?
So we were asked by a few people about making sure we're operating as efficient as possible and as a level of service required. That was one of the things we're looking at. And that based on the vehicle traffic that's what's really driving the demand, is we're seeing 100% now. And that's, as I mentioned during the budget, if we start cutting these things, it's going to really adversely affect the island residents, because where the trips in the summer are very profitable, it's the off season where you'd be looking at the potential cuts to offset anything. But as with the help of the Port Council and the board this year, when we saw a significant downturn in vehicle traffic, we not only modified our operating schedule, we also modified it with the types of vessels we had. So when we had no walk-on traffic, the freight boat was a much more viable option, because you didn't have to worry about spreading them out on the vessel, because it really wasn't any. So it's really worried about the people staying in the cars on the freight boats. So if we see a downturn for some reason now between whenever, we will go to the board and ask, as we previously did, to change the operating schedule to reflect that and make the necessary adjustments. This year, the operating expenses are down about $7 million.
Great, okay.
And then we had a couple of the revenue things that we just talked about. Someone had a question on the capital budget, which isn't really reflective on the operating budget. Anything else, Bob or Sean?
Unrelated stuff.
Yeah, and then some operational issues.
Move to recommend the rate adjustments as proposed.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll take a roll call vote.
Balco, aye.
Us, aye.
Lowell, aye.
Shufelt, aye.
Washburn, aye.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, a couple of, just, you know, two things that I brought up before that sort of connect with this. One is, are we going to look into, or have we looked into, basically being able to do a rainy day fund? That the towns have all gotten those. I don't see why we as a state entity cannot also have somewhat of a rainy day fund that we can slowly put money into to cover, you know, another problem like we had this time. And the second thing that I brought up before is we should really look into the possibility of the rate increases of basically every other year doing across the board, small or a rate increase across the board, which every town gets 2.5% and so on. If we did a across the board rate increase, that just might solve some of our problem and a lot of the complaining. All right, those just two things.
Well, we made a recommendation a while ago to set up a committee to review the reserve fund limitations and expand that. And maybe we can, I don't know, that the state act of paying some of our losses didn't change the limitations we have on the reserve fund. So I think we should still think about that long term.
Go ahead. Sorry, Bob.
No, you know, obviously those are valid points to be thinking about. You know, the concern that we have here regarding the budget. We've been focusing on that as opposed to any structural changes that would have to be done. You know, longer term, we continue to meet and discuss on a regular basis with the state's Executive Office of Administration and Finance to talk about the you know, where we stand and what the state's obligations are. So we'll continue in that regard to have those discussions with them.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
Bob, I mean, Mr. Chairman, through you, Bob, and to add to George's list there, I think that the only reasonable, well, I don't know if I say reasonable, but something new, a new idea that we discussed before is this capital project funding, finding a way to have, that's really where our problem is. It isn't the operating budget. You know, I mean, there are years we make more money than other years. It's really the projects, and it isn't, it's not getting any cheaper to rebuild docks and build ticket offices and things like that. And whether it's a new vessel, we do get, you know, I know there's opportunities there, here and there for that, but this is, I'm talking about the piers and the big stuff. And, you know, we're going to get 2 free bridges for $1 billion, you know? So we need to look at that as a way to reduce our overhead more than I think anything else. So That would be my number one thing.
So it sounds like, I know we've gone over this quite a bit in terms of looking into the reserve fund since, COVID started. Bob, can we have like a timeline on when we should, I know we've talked about it with Jim Malkin, having, the same way we do a audit committee that includes both Port Council and Steamship Authority, governors. Can we have a timeline on when we should start looking at sort of the organizational and legal changes to the organization we should be looking at?
Yeah, we can look into that and come back with something later as a proposal.
Good. Thank you.
All right. All right, Bob.
Okay, I think next we have, I'm told that it's time for my annual review. And so I think Terrence will join us, or Janice is online too. So.
Good morning again, gentlemen. In your packet, you'll see the annual memo that we've done in the past for the general manager's review. Typically, we do this in the middle of the year, around June or July, and with everything that's been going on and other issues, it's been kind of punted to this time period. But we wanted to get it completed by the end of the year, obviously, and we have one more opportunity next month to get it done. Towards the end of last year in 2019, before the pandemic outbreak, we actually had 8 goals for this year, which were, again, I noticed there was one error. We actually all did agree, or the board did approve, that these were going to be the goals for the year for Bob and us as a group, as a management team. And they're spelled out here. So, it's complete phase 3 of the reconstruction of the Woods Hole Terminal, complete the schematic design phase for the Woods Hole Terminal building, issue an invitation for bids and the award of a contract for the construction of a new maintenance warehouse and facility up at the Bernard St. Jean facility here in Falmouth. There was an invitation for bids and the award of a contract for the construction of additional vessel berthing over in Fairhaven at our maintenance facility. And there was implement electronic ticketing, which is the e-ferry system that we've now implemented. Oversee a study of the website upgrade in design. And then facilitate the creation of a task force and participate in the development to address the traffic issues, both regionally and here in Falmouth with respect to the Woods Hole Terminal. And then finally, pursuit of federal grants from the Department of Transportation's Federal Transit Administration. And we all know, based upon the fact that we did receive that $10 million in CARES funds earlier this year, that's another effort that we've championed and successfully completed this year. So at the end of the day, the process for the general manager review is going to be the same. Although, given the feedback that I got from the members last year, including the Port Council, I did update the forms with the help of Mark Thompson from our IT department. And now it's fillable PDF forms, which should make it easier for folks. And so no more filling in the little boxes with X's and so forth. All you have to do is point and click, and it should fill in, and it should all be efficient and clean, and there shouldn't be a lot of paper. The other thing is if you prefer, rather than filling out the form with your handwriting, you can actually type into the form if that's what you so choose to do. Or if that is a difficult situation, I would selfishly ask that, if you could find someone to type it in for you, that would be great. But in any event, so I'll be sending out an email to yourselves and the board this afternoon, along with a copy of the memo with the fillable PDF forms. If there's any questions, I believe all of you know how to get a hold of me, and I'm available whenever you give me a call. So if there's are there any questions about that?
Yeah, can you send the email out to our regular emails, not send it out through the remote?
I will do both. Yes, George, I will do that. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, this is due when? Before the first, right?
Yes, sir. So what we're going to do is at the next Port Council meeting, I believe it's December 2nd. Thank you. We'd like to do the review at that time. So
Okay.
if you can get it into me before then, Bob, that would be great.
Yep, all right.
Thank you.
Send it out to the regular emails.
I will do that, sir. Yes. Any other questions, comments?
Nope.
Not seeing any.
Thanks, Terry.
All right. Thank you, Ed.
All right. Anything else, Bob, or just public comment?
Yeah, I just want to point out, tomorrow is Veterans Day. So again, in honor of veterans, we're offering the free passenger travel for any veterans on board our vessels, whether they're active duty or retired, doesn't matter. So we're, again, just a shout out to all veterans and active military personnel on keeping us safe.
Thank you.
I have one item.
Yep.
I sent a letter to the Board of Selectmen of Oak Bluffs informing them that I am not going to apply to be on the Port Council to renew my membership on the Port Council starting next year. So probably December, next meeting will be probably my last meeting.
Wow.
George?
No, I wasn't ready to do this, but I have sent a letter to the Select Board of Tisbury telling them that I will not be seeking reappointment. And so they have that, and I've told them that I'll work with them on it, and I went into some detail about how long and how much time one has to spend on the Port Council, because anybody we appoint should be attending most, if not all, of the authority meetings.
Yeah.
So I will be working with the town on this, and it's possible they might not find anybody right away. So you might have to kick me around more than just next month. But it's been 12 years now, so I'm trying to cut back, not getting any younger.
Well, basically, I informed the Oak Bluffs of the same thing, of how much time an individual should use or put into this, and that I was also available. I've been on the Port Council now for 16 years. Nat's the only one who's been longer.
Ain't much longer. I think it's more like a couple months longer than you,
I don't
Bob.
know, but I think it's after 16 years, and I'm having a few physical problems, so I decided it was time.
Well, that's big news. We're gonna miss you. I can certainly say that. Without George, the meeting's gonna go way longer.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
But I mean, from a personal perspective, both Bob and George, I've certainly learned a lot from you in my, 10 years. It's been almost a decade, Nat. Can you believe that?
Listen, you're always going to be the youngest to me.
But I certainly personally learned a lot from you guys, and I really appreciate it. And I'm sure Bob and the Steamship Authority staff will have really good things to say about you next month. But it's going to be big shoes to fill. So I mean, if anyone, you know, in the towns want to contact me, or I'm sure Nat or Eric, on sort of what it takes, and you know, I'm happy to have a conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah. Geez.
Thank you.
You guys just took me away from everything that I was gonna say and re-changed it a little bit here. So I gotta kind of change my wording. I don't even know what to say about this. I got a picture of you guys from back in the day. I can't remember where we were, but we were in one of the meetings. I think it was in Woods Hole. Wow. Well, I miss you already. I don't even know what to say about this, but I just I do have a couple of things I'd like to say that I wrote down last night. That being a member of this group or a board member from the islands is a really difficult thing. And I think sometimes it's, I don't want to say lost, but this year has been the most difficult time I've had in my 16 plus years doing this. There's a constant feeling of emptiness that happens continuously that I think, and you know, my working with behind the scenes with different management people, I'm really putting in an incredible effort to try to focus on the small little things to make the traveling public happier, because there is always going to be the bad experience. But if there are things that we can do to improve the small things, that's why I'm always talking about the crumb list I have, to try to be better at the things that we can be better at. And that's something that I think Bob and Mark and Allison and Angela, now being in her position, really fully are engaging in this. It is constant complaining about stuff that Rob and I get. And they're really easy things. If we could all just think about what it's like to live on an island. We're not all millionaires like Howie Carr thinks we are. We're not. And we can move forward together post-COVID and come out of this thing better. We have a great system now. I mean, I just sent some of these pictures of the boats to some selectmen members and people that I talk to all the time. And we've got a good team here, but we got to try to fix the small stuff. And I'm hoping that can happen over the next couple of years. And thank you all for everything you do. And Bob and George, I don't even know what to say about this. I'd like to get your cell numbers. I don't even think I have your cell numbers all these years. So I don't want to lose sight of you guys. Gee, and I don't go to the Vineyard anymore because I don't have to go over there to, you know, be Grace Grossman's bodyguard like I used to. So I don't even go there except for maybe hockey. So certainly appreciate your friendship and your camaraderie over the years very much.
Nat, I'll email you my information.
Thank you, Bob.
Yep.
Okay.
Just one quick thing. Bob and George, as me being the newbie, not even close to decades here, and I do appreciate all of your input, and I know there'll be more said coming, going next meeting, but you guys have a lot of insight that someone from the outside for so long looking at the steamship sees a lot more from certainly the island side with, you know, Nat, all three of you guys. It's a different view, and I appreciate all the time you folks have all put in. So Bob and George, you know, hope they won't find someone, but I know you probably want the break, and we'll go from there. How's that?
Thank you.
Super.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Well said, Eric. All right.
And then, in keeping in my tradition, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Hold on. Sounds like Bob, are you trying to say something?
Yeah, if I can, I mean, this is, you know, speaking on behalf of the staff, even though I haven't had the opportunity to query them about it, but I'd like to show our appreciation for all the dedicated years of service that George and Bob have both provided. Their wisdom, their insight, keeping us on our toes. Hopefully, hopefully it's made me a better manager, and I'm sure the others have as well. So, again, on this short notice, again, just appreciate all the time, and we're not getting rid of you yet. So you're going to be back at next month's meeting at the very least.
Thank you.
That's true. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. I think there's a, sorry, what's that?
Jimmy, you there?
Hey, Jim.
Hi, guys. Thank you. Had a couple questions, but before I even get there, to George and Bob, yikes! When I first got appointed in March, I said, now I've got a big target on my back and a big target on my front, and now I've got no allies on either side. I really appreciate what you've done and what I've learned from attending these meetings. So thank you both, and more on that later. Two quick questions, Ed, if I may. One, this I would have held to the board meeting, but since COVID on Martha's Vineyard has increased terribly dramatically over the past week, one of the things that the hospital and boards of health have learned is that rather than a single transmission event like a wedding, which we had, there's been community transmission, which means people getting together in houses and confined spaces, not socially distancing and not wearing masks. So to that point, I know that Bob Davis and the staff were looking at things that we could do with the new governor orders. Bob, have we considered mandating that people on the buses must wear masks or they don't get transit?
Yeah, we already have that requirement. We'll make sure enforcement of that. Part of the issue is that with the governor's order, unlike the MBTA in which she authorized the transit police to, we have no mechanism to enforce, fines and things like that. Although we did have state police details at the facilities over the weekend to try to make sure that if there was any issue that it could be addressed.
Okay, well, I guess my question would be just not permitting people on the buses without masks. If you'd look at that.
We do. The drivers all have a supply of masks if someone shows up that doesn't have a mask.
Okay, thank you. My other question, and following up on Rob Munir's questions last month and this month, and the issues that were raised at what I thought were very, very good informational meetings, and I was disappointed that you only had 10 people at each meeting, and 3 of them I think were repeats. One of the questions is, of course, expense control that Rob raised, and I was wondering if between now and the board meeting, you might take a look at the operating schedule starting in January and seeing what the impact of running freight boats and docking the island home would be to service the amount of reservations that we currently have from a cost-benefit analysis point of view. So thank you.
Okay. And we did, Ed, we also did not do, see if there's any public comment. Not sure if there was any.
All right, any public comment? You can raise your hand or press, I think it's *9 or *6, *9.
Not seeing any.
Great.
All right.
Okay, George, your turn.
Okay, move to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Falco, aye.
Us, aye.
Lowell, aye.
Shufeldt, aye.
Washburn, aye. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, George. Thanks,
Thank
Bob.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Later.